Okay, so this is part 2 of a kind of 2-part video about the nature of the sort of new media landscape. So if you go to thrashermagazine.com, which it might be thrashermag.com or just thrasher.com, or you're on YouTube, just search Thrasher and go to their page. You're going to see a bunch of videos that are called rough cuts. So it'll say like rough cut Evan Smith DC promo video. I watched the Evan Smith one the other night. What that is 13 minutes of outtakes from Evan Smith filming his most recent video part for the DC promo video. To contextualize that, a video part is basically a music video with skateboarding. So a skater has anywhere from 1 to 8 minutes worth of footage set to music. And so the most recent Evan Smith one is probably 3 minutes of footage. So if you take that 3 minutes of footage and you and then you look at the fact that he then put out an edit of 13 minutes of outtakes, the equivalent of that, and like let's define outtakes. So those are alternate angles. They're also pretty much every serious attempt that he went for a trick in that video. So there's some stuff that wasn't in the DC promo video because he never actually landed it. He just struggled with it and fought for it. Or you might see how a trick evolves, or how he skates a handrail and tries one trick and then builds another trick and then builds another trick and so on and so forth. So that's what it is. So it's basically a dump of everything that was seriously filmed for that video. The equivalent of that would be if you watch the most recent episode of Game of Thrones, which is what, probably like 54 minutes, and then a day or two later HBO drops a video on YouTube that says rough cut Game of Thrones episodes, season 5 episode 2, and it's 3 hours worth of outtakes, deleted scenes, and maybe messed up stuff, like stuff that didn't work or whatever, not edited in a way that makes it a like narrative, not like a re-edit, not an alternate edit. We're talking just sitting there and watching scene after scene of someone trying to get through a line or different takes on it, all kinds of stuff, and edited without any real sense of narrative or structure. That would be the equivalent. Now, why I think that's interesting, 10 years ago, the amount of unseen footage you'd see from a video part, you would see alternate angles, and that's about it. And depending on the video, you might see a slam section, but the slam section is basically its own video part within it. It's just only people falling. So you basically didn't see outtakes. I remember whenever Zoo York State of Mind video came out, each skater had a second video part that was just alternate angles. Maybe a couple of tricks that didn't make the cut of the video, but it was basically alternate angles not set to music. Now it's just routine to see 20-minute footage dumps right after a video comes out. So it used to be like they waited a bit. The video would come out and then they tease you like, hey, here's a minute worth of footage. Like that's what started happening. And that might have been set to music. It might have been like a second little video part, but the new thing is just footage dumps. And here's what's interesting. I love watching them. I'm at the point now where I'm actually starting to enjoy the 21-minute footage dump more than the actual video part that came out of it, more than the real product. What does this have to do with artists? I think it's like this. The nature of skateboarding in particular provides a good microcosm. Kids used to just skate in their neighborhood, in their local scene, until they got pretty good, and then they'd film a sponsor me video to try to get people to send them product, put them on their team. Once they're on a team, they'd start shooting for real videos. On the side, they might shoot for like a homey video. So like an independently produced video made by a bunch of friends. Something like that. Gotta switch arms again. So they kind of build up, and it's not unlike being in a band and making demos and then putting out your first self-released record and then eventually signing and getting bigger and bigger and better. Now, the way it works is kids film as soon as they start. If I go on my Instagram right now, there's going to be a bunch of established pros who are now basically dumping everything, and I'm watching it. They're just doing like random ass flat ground tricks in their story, and then stuff that's not going to go in a final video part is going on their main page, or tricks filmed at the skate park that are not going in their video part. On top of that, I'm then going to have 12-year-old kids, some random kid in France who his style is just compelling enough to make me watch it, despite the fact that he's not technically good yet. There's a bunch of kids right now that I follow on Instagram that I can't put my finger on it. They're not good yet, but they're interesting. So what's gonna end up happening is like kids like that are gonna actually build up a fan base before they're technically good. And they're gonna be used to giving their audience everything, and they're just gonna differentiate. Like some stuff is gonna be the portfolio, and then they're gonna give you all the outtakes. The reason I think this is relevant for artists is that skateboarding has changed already. Music is on its way. It's still not as far gone as skateboarding is in terms of the dissolution of quality control. But it's headed there, and art is going to be there soon. And I think the thing we all have to get comfortable with, and the thing like I think my students should get comfortable with, is the time to start sharing your work, no matter where you are in your career, student, high school student, 10-year-old, is now. You're gonna just make it a basic part of your practice to post your stuff on Instagram. And this is already happening, but I don't think it's widespread yet. I don't think it's a default notion yet that artists are gonna learn in public and they're gonna build an audience before they're actually good. And I think like this video is exactly an example of that. I'm not good at this yet. I don't have the resources of a professional. I have a job during the day and I have kids, so I film these after they go to bed on a walk around the block. I don't have anything to deal with filming at night. I don't have a microphone. I don't have a proper camera. I say a lot. I say like a lot. I got a dry mouth right now. It's an entirely unprofessional approach. Yet, people watch it, people leave comments, people reach out to me. Basically, I'm building up an audience while I suck. Some raw thing of like kind of compelling truth is coming through in these videos, and that's causing me to build up an audience one person at a time. And I kind of knew that from the start, but I think that's going to be the new mode of operation, that you're going to share everything. Like I don't have outtakes from these videos. These videos are pretty much the outtakes. But in my design work, what I suspect is going to happen is, instead of the thing that all kind of designers and agencies do, which is they have the final product, a portfolio or a case study, and in that they have really narrowed down the story to the deliverables that ended up looking exactly like they wanted them to look like, and the stuff that the client didn't mess up, and they have the quotes from the clients, and there's no mistakes and no problems and no blah 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 blah. Everything is perfect and summed up and dialed in, and that's all you see. And I think what you're going to start seeing is the website is going to have that sort of final work. And then there's gonna be a section on the website that's gonna be process, and it's not just gonna be the sexy stuff. I think you're gonna start seeing more and more people who dump everything all the time onto the world. And I don't think it's gonna suck. I don't think it's gonna be a dissolution of quality. I think it's gonna be incredible. I think you're gonna start seeing designers who, when they work with a client, it's expected that the designer is gonna design in public, and not like that corny crowdsourcing stuff. I mean, like, a designer is going to start a project and going to publish the sketches while they're working, not because they're going to try and get feedback in the comment section, but because they're going to give away everything. And the client's going to give away everything. The client is just going to let everything hang out. And the designer's going to let everything hang out. And the whole nature of design is going to change. And it's going to turn out to be super interesting and really exciting. And I think it's going to happen with artists that, like, you're going to have your gallery show, but then you're going to start doing image dumps of reference material. Crappy unfinished paintings are going to start coming to the surface. You're going to talk about creative block. You're going to talk about which paintings sucked, even though they're finished and you sold them, and why you don't like them. And the person who bought that painting is actually going to respect you more. It's going to be a totally different world, and I think it's going to be super interesting. And I think the challenge for artists, and especially people maybe my age or older, who come from a totally different world. We come from a quality over quantity world. We come from a wait until you're ready to show your shit kind of world. I think the world is dead, and I think it's cool as shit, because when it comes down to it, I want to watch 10 takes of Evan Smith not landing a trick because the process is interesting, and I'm gonna want to see every sketch of a I don't know, a Gerhard Richter, the next Gerhard Richter, whoever that is. I'm gonna want to see it all, and it's gonna be super interesting. And I'm gonna want to see the video blogs they do, and I'm gonna want to see their Instagram and the whole entire package. And it's gonna be cool as shit, and I can't wait. And I think the reason I'm making this video is sort of like, just like the Rebecca Black video, is to say, listen, you've got nothing to fear. There's no reason not to put your stuff out there. It doesn't discount your work. It doesn't make your work not good. It just means that we're operating in a new way, and there's not really a private and public anymore. And certain artists are still going to operate that way, because that's going to be their wiring. You're always going to have your Kubricks and your Salingers and your Heath Kirchards. People that aren't going to give you everything. But for most of us, I think we're going to start just dumping everything. And it's going to be a pretty interesting time, and who knows if it ever will be any different. This might be the mode from here on out. There will no longer be artists who have a handful of masterpieces and we're all thirsting for the sketches. Instead, it's going to be these artists who, you don't give a shit about their masterpieces. You could care less about the finished paintings. You're totally interested in their process stuff, in the same way that I'd rather watch the 20 minutes of Evan Smith outtakes than the actual Evan Smith video part. All right, thanks a lot for watching.